promise you my life.
Hey, how's it going? It's Bonnie Violet. I'm a trans, femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist, digital chaplain. And in case you don't know where you are, you have found yourself at Drag and Spirituality with the special Idaho Drag is Divine series, which I'm super, super excited about. Tonight, we'll be speaking with my 48th drag artist on this podcast to get to know them a little bit more about their drag, being in Idaho, as well as their spirituality, how the two may meet or don't or whatever. I guess we'll figure that out. But I'm really excited to get to know JAZMYN a little bit more here in a few minutes. And for folks, this is a series. We have about 8 other folks that I'm interviewing as part of this series. So look in the description and you can find links to up and coming artists pretty much every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for like the next 2 or 3 weeks. There is somebody on the calendar. So watch the clip at the end of the show as well, and you can see so there. Well, I'm going to go ahead and not belabor this any further. For folks, if you do have any questions or comments, do ask them, as they come up, and we will engage with you as best we can. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our guest this evening, JAZMYN J.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Pleasure to
how
be
are you?
here. I am well. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited about this day. So, thank you for having me.
I'm excited as well. Do you want to tell folks where you're at?
Yes, I am in at Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, north of Idaho. So they call it the Panhandle.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're up at the northern part of the state.
Yes, it's a little
Awesome.
colder.
All right. Well, and so I usually like to just kind of dive right in, so to speak, and start off real easy and ask you about your childhood. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you learned as a young person when it came to spirituality?
Yes, definitely. So, hi everyone. I'm JAZMYN J. I basically was born and raised in the Philippines before
Mm-hmm.
moving to the US. So, most of my childhood, when it comes to spirituality, well, we learn it all from religion. So, growing up, religion is part of it's a very strong part of our family and also part of our school.
Mm-hmm.
So, during our elementary, we have a subject religion to learn about the Bible and also to prepare us for when we are ready to go to mass for Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and so part of our, I guess, spiritual journey is to learn about Catholicism, the rituals, the prayers, and all other stuff in preparation to our first communion. So
Yeah.
that's where we basically I got you know aware about the whole religious and the
Mm-hmm.
spirituality behind it.
And how was that for you? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Like what was your attitude about it?
Well, there are certain parts of it that I really enjoy. I love the storytelling. I
Mm-hmm.
guess as a child, this is like an hour long. Every week we have a religion for 6 years, from first grade to sixth grade, and every year we are discovering stories, lessons. So it's as a young person, it's ingrained to us, like the story of Adam and Eve, all the other stories about the Ten Commandments and all this, and you know, and for me, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way for us to be introduced to the Bible. My family is not really like a Bible kind of readers,
Mm-hmm.
so we're more like the traditional Catholics where we pray, we do the rosary, and we call it Venus. So so that's the extent of me. Like I didn't really start reading the Bible till like maybe if I need to learn some verses for religion
Mm-hmm.
purposes. But dedicating it is more of the high school. But growing up, like as a child, um, for me, the lessons are there, and it's really ingrained to most Filipinos, right? Because as
Mhm.
a young child, you're learning about what's good, what's bad. Um, what I don't like really was the preparation for our first communion. Because
Mm.
as a young boy, I remember I was like 7 or 8. Our preparation for um, first communion is to repent, right? Like we
Mm.
will go through this process of penitence and tell your sins. But I don't remember committing sins as a young boy.
Yeah,
So for
yeah.
me, it's like I need to make up something in order for me to talk to the priest, because otherwise I will go to that little confession area and say, Father, forgive me for I have sinned. And then he will say, tell me what your sin. And then
You'd be
and
like, "I
then
got nothing."
right. And then as a child, it's like we are subjected to this kind of rituals that what kind of sin are we talking about here, right?
Mm.
Like lying is not really like part of me as a child. There's nothing to lie about. So I have to
Mhm.
make up. So I feel bad in a way that I have to sin in order for
Mm.
me to pass through this first communion test.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the only thing uncomfortable for me. But growing up, really up to college days and all that, we go to mass, but not on a religious kind of way that is every week, but it's
Mhm.
more of like as I go, as I feel like one of my friends will say, hey, would you like to go to the mass? And I would go.
Mhm.
And despite being religious, um the Catholicism, it growing up gay boy, it didn't really touch up on the sexuality part, that being gay is a sin,
Okay.
not the Catholicism. But when I was in high school, that's when the born again Christians, as how we call them, uh, become popular. I
Mhm.
think because I went to a high school where it's a Protestant, if I may say. So it's not a Catholic like when my elementary. So I went to another high school where it's predominantly Protestant. So they will have Bible study and all this. And that's when I but it's not in your face that they were really putting it in your face in a
Mhm.
way that it's like kind of like a side note, because I am homosexuality is somehow more accepted, but there's a level, you
Mhm.
know they accept the more flamboyant ones,
Okay.
like you're really out there, like very. I was in that mode when I was in high school to maybe early college, where it's more about, for me it's about, I need to please people and I need to behave a certain behavior that what they expect of a gay person.
Mm. Mhm.
Like flamboyant, funny, and I know it's draining in a way personally, because I feel like every time I'm going out, I need to put up this face that I need to be acting, something that I am not really, like I'm not flamboyant, but I'm putting up a character, like a face, just to so people will not think that I am faking it,
Mm.
or like that it's a way for me to take advantage of other girls, things like
Oh,
that.
okay.
So it's harder for most gay or member of the community that are not fully out, or they are more um,
Like
quiet.
masculine or
Yeah,
oh, okay.
masculine, or because, and even for the lesbians, like when it comes to they cannot really accept a feminine lesbian,
Mm,
So they have an expectation that you have to be butch,
gotcha.
while the expectation for gays, like you really have to be like this flaming queen,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it's hard because I have friends that they are in that category of a little masculine, but they are not socially acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel for them because for me, I grew up where my family are supportive regardless of what I do. The rule is do what you like, be nice to people, be kind, and don't neglect your school. That's it.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
And then be home by 5 o'clock. That's because
Yeah.
I'm fortunate growing up in the Philippines that I have that big like foundation, and then that extends outside the house,
Mhm.
meaning I am free to be who I am playing on the streets, you know.
Right.
What the funny thing is, even though it's not accepted to be like not to be not flamboyant, but my dad doesn't want me to be playing with a friend who is very flamboyant.
Mm.
So I play with him with this, he's like my kind of my best friend in the neighborhood, but my dad is not in favor of his behavior.
Huh.
So he's afraid that I will turn out to be like that. He wants me to
Mm.
be like a quiet, you know. So it's just like it's a lot of conflict in my head that socially I need to act a certain way because that's what most of my time is spent on, whether at
Right.
school, in the neighborhood, even going to the neighbors. And then at home, it's this like straight up person,
Mhm.
that so it's like a conflict. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how growing up. And then, college, that's when I really become myself. I said, you know, I am tired of pleasing people for pretending to be who I am not. So I need to present myself to be someone that is respectable in a way that they will accept me, as a gay person. So I become that. I become a youth leader in terms of that, but without the flaming activity.
Mm.
So I feel like they see the authority or maybe the leadership that they see, in myself. So, like growing up in the Philippines, we have like this, like a youth club for the whole neighborhood. So we will be tasked to, let's say, if there's a festival for, like summer festival, the youth will be organizing something like a street, let's say a block party. So I
Mhm.
will be assigned as a leader to be holding that, and
And
so
was
it's
that through
socially
church or
acceptable.
school? Was that through
No,
church
this is
or
just home. This is just
Oh, okay.
neighborhood. So is the church is not as attached to the community
Got you.
as the way churches here in the US. For us, it is it's a structure. It's a church. That's where the priests and everybody else go to worship or to do the mass. And then outside that, I don't even remember having the priest go to our neighborhood
Mm.
to to network or to do something like that, like to extend their help or whatever, because
Right.
I guess it's different, like it's automatic that people go to the mass, back to back mass, like from 6 in the morning to 5 in the evening.
Uh-huh.
There's like an hour, there's nonstop because like during Sunday, even from noon to 2 o'clock, there's like baptism, there's wedding, there's different stuff. The whole church is a business in terms
Mhm.
of it sustains itself without even needing to go to the community to invite people in.
Yeah. And when
Um,
was the first time you saw drag?
I think I'm out of college, and the drag that I've seen in the Philippines, this was in the Philippines, is when I started, going out to clubs and and so there's this popular club in Manila where um where there's like fabulous drag entertainers, meaning it's very talented, and
Mhm.
and so that's what in essence in my head. And this was like in the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm aging myself here. So this is in the 90s. This is pre RuPaul
Mm-hmm.
drag, So it's a it's a vaudeville.
Yeah.
It's a big production, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So what attracted me about that, I know the makeup, but what attracted me to drag is the ability to 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 draw the crowd in a
Mm.
way that you're being taken to a journey,
Gotcha.
like, so
Mm-hmm.
that's the drag that I've known. Is It's about watching someone, and we call them impersonators, or there was even a term, illusionist. That's
Oh,
how
okay.
they're saying. And it's all elaborate numbers, and
Mm-hmm.
so for me it's like it's amazing, but it didn't interest me to see myself doing drag.
Gotcha.
you
So it was
know
something that you enjoyed, you
I
kind of were in
enjoyed
awe
seeing.
of,
Hmm.
but you didn't
Right,
see
like,
yourself doing it at any point in time?
no, yeah, no, until only till 3 years ago.
All right.
From the
And
90s. Yeah. Yeah, so
what changed for you?
well, the extent of my drag
Mm,
is Halloween or Pride events, right?
gotcha.
That before, when I used to live in Manila, so there's this Gay Manila is how they call this group, and so we're having, I think, about, like, this was in the mid 90s when they want to do the parade, and nobody wants, because a lot of members are kind of in the closet, or they are not that outward.
Right.
So I kind of volunteer as long as they pay for makeup, hair and makeup and outfit. I said,
Mhm.
okay, let me do it. And so that's my first taste of really like doing drag, and then it transcends to like, if there's um like company parties where we're having like Christmas, celebration, then we will be doing like Supremes or any team, and I'll be performing in drag as well. So that's
Right,
about
right.
it. And then I moved to the US in 2000,
Okay.
and my background really was fitness. So my fit I do group fitness, and so I think the reason why I don't see myself in drag is because I have a very masculine
Mm,
body at the time. When you're
yeah.
when you're in your 20s, your body just do itself without
Right.
worrying if you eat or you drink or whatever. It just builds itself, and plus being in the fitness industry, and that's what I do. My body was a little in a masculine side, and the concept of being a woman for me has very
Mhm.
shapely and very nice and not masculine. So that was the concept. So I think that's what also what prevented me from, because I don't see myself that
Mhm.
way. So fast forward to going to the moving to the US, and then going through West Hollywood and Long Beach. They have like Hamburger Mary's, where they do this drag bingos and all this, and it's still entertaining for me. What's really not for me is because I guess they are in the more adult oriented crowd, meaning
Mm,
21 and above. It's more about the sexuality and the physical, and that, and I don't see myself that way as well.
got you.
you know so my drag is like really like, if I'm going to be a drag performer in my head, it will be like a showgirl,
Mhm.
like that. I could be like, like in a big number, and then just performing Broadway songs and music and elaborate numbers. So that's how I view myself, really, if I'm going to do drag. So I continued, like living in LA. So again, Halloween is the extent of my drag now. Like, if my like I remember I only did drag 3 times. 2005, I did the drag, and then 2015, and then 2017. That's about it,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then move. 2019 we move, and and oh, let me backtrack. So around early 2000, so RuPaul Drag Race came out, and and my husband worked on RuPaul's website when it
Mm.
was beginning, when
Oh,
the
wow.
first second season, so and then he got in touch with Lipsinka, the other, the other famous drag performers, Lady Bunny. So he helped them with their website in the, in the early 2000s, and then,
Yeah.
drag become mainstream kind of, and bought by larger company, and then they want to control all the marketing and all this stuff. So,
Right.
but at least I get, got a somehow connection in terms of what the back end of drag is in early, early 2000s,
Yeah, yeah.
so and I see the progression of it, and I actually don't watch RuPaul Drag Race, only the first two season, I think, in the
Oh,
very
yeah? Why
beginning.
is that?
And- because I'm not interested. It's
Gotcha.
unfortunate. Because for me, like when I say drag, it's about entertainment.
Mm.
Like I don't need to know what's happening in the behind the scene. Like if I
Gotcha.
know how to sew, I know how to sew out costume, to do my makeup and all this. I'm interested in the makeup, because that's something that interests me. It's like the transformation,
Right.
but the construction of makeup, the production numbers, I know, because as a performer, I know how to do that in my head. I have concepts of that, and
Right.
so, but that's not. I don't like to see, be, like
The
queens
real
that
yeah, the reality
the
TV of it
reality
all.
portion of it.
Yeah.
I'm not. My husband and I were never into reality shows. Like I
Mm.
guess I'm guilty of Nicole Richie and
Okay.
and Paris Hilton. That's the extent of my reality show, and also I think some of I can't remember now her name, but like those are the early part of reality, when
Yeah, yeah.
it was clean, it was
Mhm.
fun, and so, and then it transcend and it become different. So I really don't have that much of an interest when it comes to that. I love makeup, but more of the, the day-to-day boy makeup, that just to conceal some of the blemishes and all this.
Mhm.
But I didn't really think about drag as much, other than if a group of us are going to support a drag bingo fundraising, or a pride event where there's drag performers. I am welcome to see that,
Mhm. Yeah.
so, and then moving to Idaho in 2019, that's and then Halloween, again
Uh-huh.
Halloween. We just moved to a new town. What's Halloween like, And they have Halloween here, but it's more focused on children, that you go around
Yeah, yeah.
um, downtown. And a friend of ours who lived in Spokane said, "There's a drag show,
Mm.
Halloween drag show in Spokane. Maybe we can check it out." And so for me, it's like, oh, okay, let's do that. Let's go in drag.
Uh-huh.
So so I started conceptualizing again, like, I'm going to do drag. I don't even think about a name. I just want the look, and
Right.
even my husband. So we both came in drag, and like I did, because he has a beard,
Mhm.
facial hair, but he doesn't want to shave it. And this was in 2009. I said, okay, we can do something, like you could be
Right.
like a rock star drag queen, where there's like a star in your one eye, and it will glitterify your, So we
Beard, yeah.
created it,
Mhm.
just for the fun of it. And then so we went, and that's when I see the different type of drag. These are like kind of the alternative type of drag, because
Mm.
in my head, it's about, like the
The
showgirls,
showgirls, yeah. Mhm.
and then what I saw, predominantly drag kings as well, is something different.
Mm.
It's something that for them, it's storytelling. It's very compelling. It's
Mhm.
storytelling about, I think it's an extension of their angst,
Mm.
their frustration, because, learning about some of them are trans male that are barely 19. So they
Mm.
are in that age where they are now more like free,
Yeah.
and so now they were able to escape the life from their family that are not supportive.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the angst, whether it's from family, friends, society, community, it's coming out of the music.
Mhm. So it's like an outlet for them?
It is an outlet for them. And like the thing, yeah, because it's from 14 years old to early 20s.
Mhm.
These are the group that you know that the type of music, because for me it's like, wait, you're 19, you're only this young,
Yeah,
and you're
mhm.
listening to Evanescence, or you're listening to this, like a little dark music,
Mhm.
and you're really expressing it,
Yeah.
and
And
for
did
me it's really like, wow, it's a powerful message,
Mhm. Is
you
that what
know
you wanted to do? Is that then did you wanna do that
Yeah,
too,
and
or
it's an amateur night.
Oh,
So for
uh-huh.
me, it's like, okay, there's something missing because I end
Mm.
like the whole show is predominantly in that
Kinda
theme.
emo. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I need to send my message. I need to share
Mm.
my story in a way that could be inspiring for some, that is hopeful, that
Mm.
is about self empowerment.
Gotcha.
So as soon as that show ended, I told my husband I want to do drag.
Mm.
I'd like to do a drag show. I said, go ahead, sign up. And so that week I look for the host. And apparently I saw the host in Grinder, and I
Uh-huh.
messaged. I said, "Hey, I saw you on the show, and how can I sign up? I'm
Mhm.
interested to do drag." And I said, "Oh, contact the producer. Here's the email, and see if there's still a spot." Because they announced that the next show, the theme is Winter Wonderland,
Mm.
Winter Ball. So for me, it's like, oh, this is perfect,
Yeah, yeah.
And so I contacted, and I said, oh, yeah, you can provide one number and just tell us your name and send us the song. And I said, sure, sure. And so I didn't even think about the name.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
But I have a number already in my head. I said, like, if I'm going to perform in drag, the very first song that I will do is I Am What I Am. It's a
Mm.
very old song, but I look for a version that is dancey and all that. So I was
Why
able to
that
find
song?
that, you know, because it speaks about me,
Mhm.
like one of the lyrics talks about, I like the sparkles and the spangles,
Yeah, yeah.
and 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 I hope you look at things at a different angle.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
I'm presenting myself as this. Yes, I'm glittery. I am, different. And I'm opening that up to change your mind.
Mm.
Look at
Mhm.
it at a different. Because I look at the lyrics of the songs, and I've been listening to "I Am What I Am" even like in the '90s. Because
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
songs have been performed, right, like back in the days, like.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it's like people
And it
need to hear these songs again,
Mhm. Yeah, and
right?
is it like hopeful for you, or is it a way to like claim your progress, or like because it seems like you were responding to like maybe the younger, newer artists were very kind of
Mhm.
in kind of a more moody space.
Right,
And I didn't know if
right.
maybe you thought because like maybe you were a little further. Like I'm sure you maybe had your moodiness at one point in time. And so you
Yes,
kind of wanted to balance
yeah.
it out a little bit.
I think you're right. You're right because in my head, what motivate me to use that song is is the message
Mm.
of this song is something that I want. the audience and everybody to hear,
Right.
because it's about self-empowerment. It's about addressing how different views, and yes, I may be sparkly and all this, but open up your perspective.
Hmm.
That song is just amazing for me, and I've been holding into that song. I think that was the moment that that for me to use this song,
Right.
and especially having the kids. I will just say kids because
Right.
they're like half of my age. I'd like them to see the world in a different way. That yes, you are in this stage in your life, and it's part of growing pains.
Yeah. Yeah.
But eventually things will get better. My parents. I'm not a good. Like, I'm not a straight A kid.
Right.
Like I rebel. I run. I sneak out at night. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like all this. So but the hope of that there are great things that will
Hmm.
happen. We just need to be open about it.
Yeah.
You
Do you
know?
feel that like being in Idaho in particular kind of is like the right place for what you want to do? Because I know you were like in the
hmm
Philippines and you were in
hmm
LA and like, but does it
Right.
feel like Idaho is just like a better fit for it right now or?
Well, that's a very good question, because that's a question as well that most of my friends' family is asking, why in Idaho when you decided to do this? You know, it's because again, the people that I have worked with during, the drag shows, seeing their struggles, and I may not be able to relate to their current condition because we have a different background. I have more support than most of them.
Right.
But if I could be that little glimpse of
Hmm.
light,
Yeah, yeah.
and I feel like, whatever greater power it is that brought me here
Mm,
and allow me to do this, and to convey a message of hope, of self-empowerment, of positivity, or even addressing issues that kids nowadays are facing, is something that I don't know, it just come organically.
mhm. Yeah, but it sounds like you're saying that you believe your higher power, your higher power, whatever, kind of is calling you to do drag.
Right. I think that's where the spirituality comes in, right? So
Yeah.
I have this hodgepodge of spirituality from Catholicism. I mean, a lot of people, if we take the religious part of it, it's really like a little bit too much, right?
Mm,
But I grew up, or at least, how I grew up is taking the good and learning
yeah.
from the bad. And during the journey in our lives, we search for answers. We search for ways to basically connect to
Right.
whatever higher power. The reason why I'm saying higher power is because, like, there's a struggle in me about saying God,
Yeah.
you know because the God is a concept that some people might not believe, and some people have a very strong belief that they're attached to it. But that attachment is what's keeping us from opening up ourselves,
Mm,
because we become so attached to what the rules are that we forget that we're living. Life
mm,
unfolds. And that's what I learned from, practicing Buddhism, at certain point in my life. I think in era
uh-huh.
2005 or 2005 to, like about 5 years of practicing of that, because,
Yeah.
moving to from the Philippines to the US, it's about the US is a Eastern philosophy is different. So it's more therapy and all this. So it's like the
Yeah, yeah.
psychology of things, right? So I tried that, but still there is something that is missing,
Mm,
So I'm trying to connect, and Catholicism or whatever, it doesn't match. I went with my husband's religion, Methodist. I love it, similar
Mm-hmm.
to Catholic without the cross and kneeling and standing and all
Right.
the shebang.
Yeah.
But I love when we used to go to church is hearing the, I would say sermon, but it's not the sermon. It's how the pastor would give this, you know, how do you call
Message or
it?
yeah, like a
Message,
message. Yeah.
right? And that is very compelling to me because it's like how you connect the story in the Bible with
Mhm.
how we are living their life today, right?
Right.
So after that we went through this, discovering the lessons of Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's more about the compassion. So and that stuck with me more
Got you.
because it's more of, I would say, applicable to day-to-day life.
Got you. It's useful.
It's more
Like
useful because it's
yeah.
about dealing with other people and dealing about yourself.
Mm.
It's the discovering of what's, about the ego, and discovering about, if you keep focusing on, what about me, what about me, what about me, that's when we start not giving,
Right.
not opening up ourselves, because it leads to some, like, that we're afraid that something will happen, something will take advantage, someone will hurt us. It's
Yeah.
about protecting the ego.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I see, like when I say life unfolds every day, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as we unfold, having that, compassion and awareness really, like my teacher would say, we have two options: do you want drama or do you want peace of mind?
Mm.
That's very powerful to me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's nothing about the
Which one did
religion.
you pick? I'm just joking.
It depends.
Depends
It
on the day,
depends,
huh?
right? But it's good because if I want drama, I see it, because I see it. Like there was a time that I'd like to instigate an argument or a conflict just
Mhm.
because I just want to feel righteous.
Mhm. Yeah.
But if I go that way, it causes a lot of drama.
Yeah. Can
And
be
the
toxic.
sad part is my victims are either my husband or my mom. I will call my mom from the Philippines just to scream at her,
Oh,
to feel,
wow.
to say something that I'm right about, you know. So
Mhm.
the conversation becomes sour.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, like for years, it's like that. Just like my mom was like, "Why did you even call me if you're just going you know,
Yeah,
to
she's like, "I
argue?"
don't wanna hear all this."
Yes, right. But again, it's a part of the journey.
Mhm.
That there's some part of us that got used to this drama, the cattiness,
Yeah, yeah.
that sometimes want to come out. But then again, that's when the awareness comes in,
Mhm.
right? That, do you want to listen to that voice or to the peace of mind?
Yeah, yeah.
And that comes with maturity as well. The younger we are, we're easily run by our emotions. Like you're
Yeah.
driving, someone cut you off, and the next thing you know, you're screaming and cursing inside your car. Nobody can hear you. You look like a crazy person from the outside world. you
Yeah.
know so, through that, it's the awareness. I mean, it still comes out. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a journey. Like I said, it's a continuous work, because there are times that I'd like to happen now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I'm curious, we're about, like, 5 minutes left or so.
Okay.
Um, and, I'm curious, I know, like, I mean, I've really enjoyed getting to hear what drag means to you, and, like, it seems like it's coming from like a space of wanting to be of service and kind of part of being part of community. And I know that you have a large social media presence, and you've been really big on kind of talking about the importance of protecting drag. And I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
give you an opportunity to talk about why protect drag.
Yes. So for me, like again, purpose of doing drag, number one is being to entertain people, to take their mind, to take them to a journey away from whatever is troubling them during the day, or even to worry about what they're going to eat for dinner, just
Yeah.
for the moment, even for 5 minutes of my song. If I can take them away from the worries, then that's
Right.
it. Number two is inspire. There are
Mm.
kids, there are people that needs to see a different side of the world, needs to hear a different message. Open up that there's options, that there are choices, there are you know that
Lots
there
of
are
ways
there's
to be. Yeah.
right. And then for some to be someone that can aspire to do, like if I can inspire someone to do drag and take them away from whatever, you know like
Mhm.
bad things, that could be abusive, then so be it.
Yeah. Has drag
So
done that for you?
for me, yes, either I go shopping, or I do spend my time in grinder or something.
Uh-huh.
So for me, it's something that yeah, it takes time, but meaningful,
Mhm.
not to just run away from things. You know, um, when it comes to protecting the drag as an art form, yes, especially now that it's being threatened here in our state,
Mhm.
in Idaho, that there's a possible bill to pass where they will be preventing drag performances in all
Okay.
public places, and
Yeah.
even reading books in library. Books that are written by LGBTQ, to tell their
Right.
stories. So for me, it's a misconception of drag, right?
Right.
We are not there to just show our bodies. You know,
Mhm.
when we are having a show, we are being told by the producer, the organizer, whether it's an all ages or if it's adult only. If it's all
Right.
ages, we need to be appropriate,
Right,
and
right.
it's common sense, you know. And if it's 21 and above, as long as there's no nudity, go for it.
Right.
But the messaging are appropriate to the audience, and that's what I'd like to share to everybody. Is most of the people that reacts to drag haven't been to a drag show, or if they
Mhm.
do, they were at 21 and above, which
Right.
is adult, right? But have they been to a drag queen reading a book to children?
Right.
Children have no concept of sexualizing things. We are reading fantasy. Like, when the child or children pay attention, if we come more fabulous, if we're reading
Right.
about princesses and prince, we come in costume. Whether it's a drag performer or a hired Disney character, they are in drag as well. That's not their
Right.
real person. So what's the difference,
Right.
right? We're not there to corrupt children's mind. It's an art form. Like I said, it's a freedom of expression, it's a freedom of um, creativity. So,
Yes.
and the shows is also a right to 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 come together.
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
protest. If the right is about Pride Festival, because we are protesting in a more fabulous way than picketing.
Right.
It's protesting to say that we are here, and we deserve the love, the respect, and the inclusivity of the society. So
Right.
yeah,
We're human too.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, because
So
yeah,
yeah.
a lot of the laws are kind of just relegating us back to the bars where they think that's the only place we exist, which is a
Hmm.
great space to exist, but we all live outside of that as well, and we bring our full selves out into community. So yeah, I and that's a lot of why I wanted to do this series was so folks who maybe only hear about us on TV or
Right.
whatever, they can see that there's more to us and there's thought behind what we do, and we might even have some spirituality.
Exactly. Like, we hold shows to raise funds for food pantry.
Hmm.
To raise funds to help, the community. We're
Yeah.
not just prancing around because we want attention. I mean, it's part of it, but
Right.
there's something good coming out of it. And
Yeah.
for people to threaten the shows that without understanding that the shows were put up because we want to help, like let's say a college student food pantry, for
Hmm.
struggling students or even employees of the college that they cannot afford food for raising something, so they can go to these places and they can stock up on food and canned goods or whatever,
Right.
and it's a wonderful thing. It's a matter of just using our art,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I am enjoying this conversation. I feel like I could talk to you forever, but pretty much past the time that I usually like to go. But I want to give you an opportunity to, share anything that you'd like to share, maybe that you haven't got to say yet, or you would just like to say again.
Yeah, so for everyone, give drag a chance. Understand. We are open for dialogue. Sometimes if we don't understand, we just don't assume things. We don't conclude based on what we hear.
Hmm.
We open a communication line. You can find me on TikTok or on Instagram or even here on YouTube. Send us a message, questions, and all these comments that help inform. You need to clarify things, then I'm open for that dialogue. So
Hmm.
hopefully, we can change people's thinking, outlook in life. you know
Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of bend our ear and have a conversation with us, huh?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
for me it's an intellectual conversation. Ignorance is sometimes the culprit. We
Hmm.
don't know. The fear of not knowing is very powerful.
Yes.
And we can easily conclude things based on our fear. But having the knowledge and open communication is much powerful because it can change minds. It can change the way we view the world. Just like what I said um, on my live, Transformation Tuesday. It's not about just transforming myself into this, but also I'm learning from people that are coming to my live. They're learning from me in terms of understanding my point of view, and
Hmm.
we come into that, like a middle ground where we give each other a chance to process and think about it, after the live or after, you know, while we're in our bed, we think about, yeah, it makes sense, that other person think this way and all that,
Right. Yeah.
so yeah.
For sure. Well, I thank you along with C Watkins 63 on
Oh
YouTube.
yes, Kathy, hi.
Yes, we thank you so much for being here tonight, Jasmine, and taking the time to share just a little bit of yourself here and the work that you do in community. It's so powerful and so necessary. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
Um,
Mom.
yes, have a great evening, and thanks everyone as well who joined us. Join me this week on Wednesday as I interview Vice, and then on Friday I am with who am I with on Friday? I'm with I just booked them.
Victoria, I guess.
Serafina,
Oh, Seraphine.
who's from like the Twin Falls area, and then on Saturday is Chico Mia, who is
Ah,
originally from Brazil, but is now in Boise. So, but
oh, I
yes,
hope to meet all of them in the future.
yes, we'll have to set something up for
I
sure.
know.
All
Well,
right, everyone.
if we need to go to the capital in Boise, then yes.
Yes, definitely. And I host a Dragon Spirituality Summit in October,
Mm,
so maybe I can get some of the folks there for that. So I'll get
that
you
would
the
be a wonderful.
information for sure. All right,
Yeah.
take care, everyone. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Oops, I pushed the wrong.